the channel. This is my review for Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 16, episode 5, church announcements. School has started. Jesus. School has started, y'all. So I gotta find out how to make a schedule so I'm consistent with these videos. I have a goal of how many subscribers I want to get by the end of spring, like summer, like by the time it hits summer. So just bear with me. But let's get into this review because not much happened, to be honest. So y'all know, before we get into every episode that I review, if I find some drama on my timeline, we gonna talk about it. So this one, before we get into the review, is about Noella, because lately everything that has been dealing with OC has been about Noella, which she got a lot going on. So Us Weekly actually did an interview with her, and the article is actually titled, Noella Bergner reveals she is currently squatting with son in a mansion aimed legal battle. So I'm gonna link the article below, and so y'all can read it, but I'm gonna just read an excerpt that she said, because it is actually a long, like they did a pretty long, lengthy interview. But this is what she said. He could shut it off at any moment. Then I literally would have to look at serious options. There's no charges. There's been no changes in the finances. He's not paid rent. She told us. We're currently squatting in our 10,000 square foot mansion, which is very eerie. The Bravo celebrity admitted the major life change hasn't been easy to adjust to, adding, I hate this. I've never gone my life without paying bills, so to feel like I'm just constantly apologizing to our property manager. And then she continued with saying, and then they have been so amazing and very understanding, but I understand we have an obligation, and that he ran from them icky. So like I said, I'm put the link below so y'all can read it because it is long. These are two things. If Noella has never had a bank account since she was 36, which she is now, because she said that in the episode, she doesn't even have her own personal savings account, then what are you talking about that you've always paid bills? The men that you've been with or your family has always paid bills. I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't be squatting. I feel like they should try to like find like a smaller condo or apartment that's affordable with that and maybe she will be able to find that once she gets paid from Bravo for being on the show, since she is a housewife. I don't know how much she's getting paid, but I wouldn't just be squatting in nobody's house. And it is nice that the landlord or the property manager is being nice, but eventually they're gonna have to like kick them out. So I hope she has a backup plan. Because all in all, the situation sucks that he would just leave his kids, well, at least his child, because she does have a daughter. They don't speak about the daughter a lot, which is weird. But, you know, in the drama video, we talked about Noella's legal battle she did have a paternity suit case for 8 years, from 2014 to 2018. Maybe the daughter's father doesn't want his daughter like wrapped up in all of this, but it's still kind of weird. Or honestly, what if the little girl don't even live with Noella? Like maybe the little girl lives with her dad. I don't know, because we haven't seen the little girl. We only saw the little boy, even on the TV screen. But like the picture that they use in the article is a picture of the daughter and the son, so it makes you think that they all live together. But that's the drama with Noella. Now let's get into this review. The episode kicks off where it left off on last episode, where we got Heather and Shannon talking about the rumor. So here's my thing. I'm kind of like 60-40. Basically, I'm 60% on Shannon's side, and then I'm 40% on Heather's side. I feel like for Shannon, I do feel like Shannon was wrong in the sense of bringing up the rumor to TV if you weren't going to stand in it. Like, you've been on TV long enough to know that anything you mention when it pertains to somebody that is your cast member and it's salacious, they're gonna have it on the show. So Shannon gets a ding for like, girl, you mentioned this said rumor and then you didn't stand in it. Like, you should have stood in it. Number two, I'm also with Shannon because Shannon did not ruin Heather's party. Gina and Emily ruined your party because Gina and Emily were the ones that kept bringing it up. And the fact that Gina, Emily, and Shannon had a sit down and they actually talked about, like, if this turns out to be true about Nicole, like this is the Nicole in reference, then we're not going to bring it up. And they still bring it up, especially Gina's ass kissing self. Like, Gina is so far up Heather's, like, she's sucking on that lady's ovaries. Like, it is annoying at this point. It's annoying at this point. So, and then I'm 40% on Heather's side because I understand where Heather's coming from. It's like you haven't been on the show for 5 years, then you come up on the show, and the first group event that they're filming, it's a bomb in your own house where they're saying that your husband got sued by this lady for a botched boob job, and then your friend. But I feel like Heather should be mad at Nicole, and she should be mad at Gina, in my opinion. And she could still be mad at Shannon for Shannon spreading the rumor. But at the end of the day, Nicole looks shysty. Because why would you befriend them when you are the one who sued them? Like, that looks fake on their part. Well, she accepts Shannon's apology, but I can give Heather credit that Heather said, I accept your apology, but I don't trust you. And if she's being honest, she's being honest. She was like, but I need you to apologize to Terry for us to make it, like, for us to be okay. So, I don't know. I just felt like Heather was doing too much at this point because it's like she already apologized. Why do you feel... But then again, I get it because in the sense of, like, the rumor was about Terry and, like, his occupation and his career. So, yes, you should apologize. But it really felt like they were putting their dicks on the table to, like, just... Because it looked weird that you got, like, Terry, it just felt like y'all are scolding somebody who's the same age as you. And I felt like they was doing too much. It was also kind of funny when she was apologizing to Terry. And then all of a sudden, she was like, oh my God, a June bug. And I was like, Shannon. I got where Terry was coming, like, Terry looked so annoyed. And I understood because I'm like, girl, we wouldn't be in this predicament or even having this conversation if you had not brought up this rumor. But I still feel like Heather slightly overreacted with the whole, like, if you ever come from my family, it's over. And I mean, like, I get it. We all like that when it comes to our family, but I'm just kind of like, this is the reality TV game. Like, you were on reality TV, you were friends with Vicky and Tamara, and they went to the gutter. So I just felt like she was doing the most. Everyone then apologizes. It seems like everything's okay. So now everyone's going to go get drinks and eat. We see Shannon talking to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend don't like that, like, Heather and Terry, like, threatened her. Like, he was like, who are they? And I kind of was like, it was a lot. I think that's the issue with the whole threatening thing or the promise is, like, it was a lot. And it didn't make Heather look that good because it was like, girl, the situation wasn't that serious. Like, it was a rumor, but it turned out to be true. But, like, I also understand in the sense that, like, it's your husband's profession and y'all's sole income. So, like, don't F with my money, basically. But it was cute that Shannon was talking about how she's never had someone make her feel so protected and loved, and she has that with her boyfriend. So good for Shannon, because we done seen the highs and lows with her, especially when it comes to dating. The party's continuing. I'm going to just let y'all know I don't like Nicole, and I don't want Nicole back on my screen, because Nicole is a opportunistic blow-up doll. Like, ugh. Like, I don't understand, like, how you and Noella were supposed to be cool and friends, but all the while you was co-signing everything, like, Dr. Jen had to say about Noella. And I'm like, do you even know Dr. Jen? So basically, we see Nicole and Dr. Jen talking, and Dr. Jen is just basically like, she feels the tension between her and Noella, and she doesn't understand why Noella doesn't really like her. And Nicole was like, no, I think she does like you, but she was like, I think she doesn't. So then they have a conversation, and basically Dr. Jen doesn't like the fact that Noella isn't being friendly towards her, and Noella doesn't like the fact that Dr. Jen wants her to be friendly towards her, because the conversation to me didn't make any sense. And I rewatched their little interaction like twice, And I played it back. So basically, Dr. Jen said that she's met Noella 5 or 6 times. Noella's like, girl, we've only met 2 times. The last time we met at Bronwyn's party, and I felt like you were too familiar and you were thirsty. And Dr. Jen is offended by that. We then find out that Noella got like a little turned off because Jen basically posted a picture of her thanking her clients, and then she tagged Noella. And Noella felt like it was more to it than that, because Jen was like, I didn't even know I tagged you. But Noella was like, you know that I have a long-standing relationship with another, I guess, rival clinic. So I had to report you to IG to get them to remove the tag. And I said, Noella, I don't think it was that serious. But then again, if it's going to mess up your bag, and since you need all the money you can, then I understand. So then they started to arguing, and then Noella walks away, because then before Noella walks away after Jen says that, like, when they met at Bronwyn's house, Noella was like, Jen said she felt bad for Noella and thought Noella was unhinged because she kept saying that Tom Ford was her god. And then Jen was like, she felt offended. And I was like, why would you be offended by that? Like, to me, I feel like Jen and Noella came on the show not to like each other, because everybody is all connected to Bronwyn. We learned in the first episode that Jen was at Bronwyn's vow renewal last season. We find out that Noella and Bronwyn are friends, but no longer friends. So I feel like if Bronwyn was still on the show, it would put the pieces together, because Bronwyn could be like an interpreter of what really went down. Because it seems just like they just don't mix. Like, they just don't vibe, and they're not gonna vibe. And I think that's okay with Noella, but I don't think that's okay with Dr. Jen. Because Noella then called the lady ugly. She was like, you tagged me in an ugly picture with bad lighting. I said, damn, Noella, God, you had to call the lady ugly. So they separate. Then you see Heather separates them, and then you see Heather talking to Jen, and she's like, are you okay? And then Jennifer was like, you know, I don't like people who are condescending, who are mean, who lash out, blah, blah, blah. And Heather's like, yeah, but I think she's going through something. Because then Heather brings up about the whole thing that Nicole told her in the car, that Noella said that Heather was a fake bee. And I was just like, So then on the inside of the house, you see Shannon and Noella speaking. And Noella's just like, I don't like her, and I think she thirsty. And I said, both of y'all are thirsty, but okay. So the party continues. We see Shannon getting food that she don't know the names of, because Shannon was like, I don't know what this stuff is. And I'm like, Shannon, just be adventurous and try the Egyptian food. I will say, if I'm going to a party and there's food that I like, that I don't know of, most of the times I just ask people like, oh, what is this? Or I've been gracious enough to have people, well, not gracious, but I've been grateful enough to have people like put nameplates, like, and to be like, oh, this is this. And then like, I will hit a quick Google search and be like, okay, I'll eat that, you know? So they're sitting at the table. Everyone's sitting at the table. They're chilling. It was okay. We see Shane, like, Emily's giving a toast to Shane. It's cute about him, you know, finally getting his law, passing the bar. Then we see Egyptian dancers, and then we see Heather ask Gina at the table full of other people. And I was with Shannon when she was like, normally when you are inviting people and you don't have enough tickets, you don't invite them in front of a group of people, because Heather invites Gina and her boyfriend Travis to go to like a horse race with her, and like the horse tracks, and it's Shannon and Noella sitting at the table, and they're all just kind of like, so you're not going to invite us? Because she didn't invite Jen and she didn't invite Gina. So I was just kind of like, yeah, that was kind of rude. You could have just shoot the girl a text, and because Gina is your lap dog, she would have went. So the next few scenes were all dealing with Shannon. And basically, we're just going to get Shannon out the way. We see Shannon with her dad. I guess his nickname is called Gene the Machine. And basically the daddy misses her. They were talking about Dean Martin. And the thing is, like, I know who Dean Martin is only because of Family Guy, because they had him in one of, like, when they go to Italy. And I was like, the voice that they had sound familiar. And I remember my grandparents playing, like, the Rat Pack's music, or like watching TV Land, and the Rat Pack would, like, they would have episodes with them on it. So that's how I knew who Dean Martin was. But the grandfather, Gene, was telling the story about how he met Dean Martin, and Shannon was like, Daddy, they don't know who that is. And them kids really didn't. They really didn't. And I kind of didn't fault them for that, because they're 17 and all of that. That's almost like 30 years, like 30 or 40 years before their time. Maybe even 50 years before. No, probably 30 or 40 years before their time. But he tells the family that, like, he basically tells Shannon he wants to spend more time with her. Shannon felt bad. You can tell that Shannon's going through, like, I would say just a lot of life stressors. Like, she wants her business to do good. She wants to be able to provide for her daughters because they're getting ready to go to college. And she even said that's something that keeps her up at night, when she went to, like, the energy, like, counselor with Noella later on in the episode. She also lets us know that, like, even it's kind of weird that her dad is asking for more time, when she was a kid he had an office in Los Angeles and they lived in Santa Fe. I don't know how far that is from each other, but basically he said, I wonder, I'm about to Google, let's see, Los Angeles to Santa Fe. Dang. I don't know if this is true, but it's saying like 6 hours. I don't think that's true. I don't know about that. I don't know. Cause basically in the story, like in the episode, she said that her dad worked in Los Angeles, and the only time, and they lived in Santa Fe, I think Ranch, but the only time she got to see her dad was on the weekends. So she kind of felt weird that her dad wants to spend more time with her, but she does want to spend more time with him. We do see later on in the episode, we see her doing a FaceTime with her mom, and her mom and dad are divorced, and I guess it's kind of like a precursor where Shannon could be, but her mom seems happy. They had a conversation about the dad and the girls, and she was just like, her mom was able to move on. I'm hoping Shannon can too. Again, like I said, we see Shannon and Noella with this energy healing lady. I don't know how it works, but they said the lady got a gift for shaking up the energy in your body. And she's always booked up, like she was booked up months in advance. So they're going to this thing, the whole conversation about, while the lady is doing what she does, the counselor, the whole conversation comes up about like Shannon being concerned and like nervous and scared about being able to provide for her girls as they go to college. We also have an interaction between Noella and Shannon where Shannon tells Noella about like what Heather said about the threat or the promise. And Noella feels like Heather is manipulative. And she was like, why is she? And she was like, don't, like, she's not better than you. I think Noella is coming from a place of like, she sees Shannon as maybe like the HBIC or like the popular girl. And I think she sees Heather as bullying Shannon in a sense, because although Shannon was wrong for what she did, it's kind of not a great introduction to someone where you go to their house on the first episode and you see them like kick the lady out and then see the woman crying. So I think Noella just feels sorry for Shannon and wants to be there for her. Which, I mean, as of right now, Shannon does need like a ally, because she don't got one in the other ladies, because they all we have like a special moment between Max and Heather where we found out Max has a book and it's called I'll Give It To You Straight-ish, because we do know Max is bisexual. And I mean, it was a nice conversation. Like Heather was saying how happy that she was that Max felt comfortable to come to her to express those feelings of like her sexuality. And I guess the book is about about like her life in general. It was funny because I have a friend who is bisexual, but she's black, and she said, "Oh, bitch, that's white privilege." Because ain't no black person can at the age of 17 could just write a book about being. I was like, I don't think it's that, but they do got money. They do got money, so like they probably have a great publishing deal. But I do think it's important for kids who are her age to be able to express what they're feeling, and if it's helpful to those who are a part of the LGBTQIA community and can foster good relationships with their families, then have at that book, read it, and enjoy it. So then we get to Jen. We end up finding out that Dr. Jen ain't got no friends. That's what it really, and I think that's probably what Noella is sensing for Jen, is that Jen is dying to have like friends outside of work, because she even stated in her confessional that she's like, I have great relationships with the people I work with, but the truth of the matter is they're only cool with me is because I pay their bills. Like I give them money to help them pay their bills, basically. So she wants friendships, and I think she might be coming off just a tad bit thirsty or too excited to have friends. That's the only thing that sucks about being willing to have friends. Because you can put people off. If you seem desperate, nobody wants to be friends with somebody that's a desperado. Like nobody wants to be friends with someone that's desperate. But you have to have this, like, I guess, I wouldn't say aloofness, but you just have to have this energy that you are willing to have friends. But maybe Jen is coming off that she's desperate. But she invites Nicole to her house, and it's Nicole, Emily, and Gina. And they're basically talking about Noella. And Jen basically wants to paint this picture that Noella is just lashing out, and she's mean, and she's nasty, and is her divorce even real? Is she married even real? And if you check out my second part to the drama between Noella and her husband, that I talked about her relationship. So Noella even stated that they were together for 6 years. But while they were together for those 6 years before they got married last year, the year before last, in 2020, James was still married to his wife for 18 years. And they had like a fake wedding in 2017, where I think it was 2017 or 2019, where her and James like traveled throughout the whole entire country, the continent, going to like Dubai, Singapore, and all that stuff, all the while he was married. So that's probably what Jen is talking about. I will give a point to Emily, because Emily was standing up for Noella, because she was like, well, if you're getting served divorce papers, you had to be married. Like, it couldn't be a fake marriage. And then Jen was like, well, is it? And I'm looking at Jen like, Jen is just mad because Noella does not want to be friends with her, or doesn't want to pretend to be friends with her. So this is what she's coming back with. I can see Jen only being a 1-season cast member, because she's not really giving much. Because although I felt like their argument was very childish, Noella did kind of eat her up. Because to me, they're both thirsty. The only difference is Noella's thirst is a little bit better than Jen's thirst. Gina was kind of a co-signing everything. And Nicole is a friend of nobody. Nicole just sat there and didn't even try to stick up for Noella, but you came into the party and everything else with Noella. So I don't want to see Nicole no more. I don't want to see Nicole no more. So then we see everyone at the racetracks. Fortunately, Heather and Terry won. I don't like betting on the racetracks. But it was just like, honestly, the only thing I observed in this whole entire thing was that Gina is she is so far up Heather's behind. She's sucking on her ovaries. Like, everything about Heather, like, whatever Heather touches turns to gold. It's like, girl, like, it's giving fan and star relationship. It's giving groupie and fan relationship. It does not feel, and that's probably, to me, it makes me look differently at Heather, because I'm like, why do you want to be friends with someone who co-signs everything you do? Like, I need somebody to give me some type of resistance. Same with, and it's like, Gina, like, do you want to be looked at as somebody's lapdog? that like you, everything she does you agree with, because Gina, everything she was doing you agree with. And I think Gina is just starstruck at the fact that Heather got money and Gina is poor as hell. And the thing is, like, Gina's not even poor. Gina is just like lower middle class. And ever since she got divorced from her husband, she hasn't had the wealth. Like, she might, that's the thing, y'all. If she would have stayed with him, if that whole domestic violence situation didn't happen and they got back together, she probably would have, she wouldn't have the same wealth as Terry and Heather, but she probably would have been slowly climbing her way up, because it seems like nothing Gina has done after this has been very fruitful. Because, like, we haven't seen her do any other businesses. It's always been about, like, either her getting a divorce from her husband, the domestic violence situation, or her DUI. Gina really hasn't given us any opulence or, like, wealth or anything. Like, I don't even know why she's still in the OC, because you know she don't live in a tax bracket. But like I said, Heather and Terry win. Their horse wins. Mind you, y'all, I lived in Kentucky for, like, 2 years. And I actually went to the Kentucky Derby. It is not all that it's cracked up to be. And then I noticed when they were walking around that area, I didn't see a lick of mask. Nobody had on a mask. And I said, so the virus just didn't hit the Derby. The virus just did not hit the Derby. Okay. I'm disappointed in you, Terry, for you to be a doctor. The other reason why I say Gina is Heather's behind is because while they were at the Kentucky Derby, Gina decides to be a tattletale and tells Heather how Noella basically said that tells Gina that she should be a little more defensive when it comes to Heather. And Heather's kind of taken aback by it because, you know, she had that one incident where Nicole tells Heather that Gina called her a fake bee. Now you have this situation where Noella is telling people that, like, Heather is not to be trusted and this and that. And it is kind of weird because it's like, why do you feel this way about Heather? And Heather even said, and then Gina was like, well, maybe it's because you're where she used to be. But like Heather said, that doesn't give her a reason to, like, lash out at her, which it doesn't. But it is kind of weird that we keep having these instances where Noella has, like, supposedly said things about Heather, and then the ladies are running back to Heather to tell her. So I don't know. I don't know if Noella really likes Heather, or if she just feels like Heather is, like, just some pretentious snob and that's why she doesn't like her. I don't know. But I didn't get the reason why Gina needed to, like, tell Heather that. That was something that she could have kept in, like, her back pocket. Excuse me. Just to keep, like, a mental note of it. But I guess Gina trying to get brownie points with Heather, which seems to be working because they've been seen taking a whole bunch of pictures together. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't like that. If you're going to be a housewife, be a housewife. I don't need you to be a groupie hoe. And Gina is giving me very, like, groupie hoe vibes, and I don't like it. Okay, so the episode ends with Emily and Noella, hanging out, just getting to know each other. And I don't understand why she said she strained her voice. Like, when she gets stressed, her voice gets strained, which means she probably had been yelling on the phone with James or freaking out. She's just whispering for some reason. It was kind of weird. But basically, she got served the actual final divorce papers, but the way that the guy served her was, like, through flowers, because the first time that she was served, her mother got the papers, and they said that the mother said that the lady threw the papers in her face. This time it was a bunch of flowers. Like a guy came to the door with a bouquet of flowers, and she's like, oh my God, where's the note? Where's the note? And he was like, are you Noella? And she was like, yes. And he was like, here you go, you've been served. So she was actually finally served the divorce papers. And I was with Emily when Emily said, oh, that's messed up. Because that is messed up, because you're wrapping, like they say, you putting sugar on ish. Like, you're wrapping these divorce papers in these flowers. And I thought that was kind of messed up. And so they end up throwing the flowers away. Emily tells Noella about what Dr. Jen said, basically saying that she don't believe y'all divorced. And Noella basically says she's disingenuous and unauthentic, and I don't think she has any human emotion in her body. And I kind of like what Emily said. Emily said, I just think she's very clinical. And some doctors don't know how to turn it off. And I think that's the reason why Dr. Jen doesn't really have friends like that, is maybe people can see through her, or they don't get a chance, or she doesn't allow them to see see Jen. She's only showing them Dr. Jen. But yeah, y'all, the episode really wasn't that much other than like the continuation of Heather and Shannon's talk. You had Dr. Jen versus Noella, which is basically two people that don't really like each other or see it for each other. And Jen being just upset because I think she kind of wants to be cool with Noella because she doesn't have friends, but Noella don't want to be cool with her. And Noella's kind of being snarky and snooty and condescending with her disdain or dislike for Jen. Then you got Gina and Heather, where you got Heather who's so far you got Gina who's so far up Heather's ass because she just likes the fact that Heather's rich, and Heather is nice with her richness, that she does things for her. And like Gina said, my mom tells me I have champagne dreams on a beer budget, which she does. And then, Noella and her divorce papers. So wasn't much. I feel like they should have came back with a stronger episode, seeing as this was the episode. Honestly, they could have aired this episode instead of just taking off a whole almost like 2 weeks because of like Christmas. No, there was an episode because of Christmas, because of the New Year. Like, the episode wasn't hitting on nothing, and then y'all could have gave us more for the next episode. But it was decent. I give it like a C. Honestly, like a D. It wasn't all of that. It was like a C minus. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Drop down in the comments below and let me know what you thought. And yeah, deuces.